Part 14. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 131. Chapter 131 Co-Leader. Officially, but we haven't investigated the source yet. We found that it is because the lairs of several alien species have been discovered recently, and one alien species cannot withstand the torture of the Blood Evil Alliance. Yan Ke frowned and said, Ching Han, the situation has become more and more serious now. Should we? They have been hiding in the darkness for too long. It seems that these people have gradually forgotten the existence of the Blood Evil Alliance and the existence of God Killer. If this situation continues, I'm afraid. I don't care about waiting, it's quick, soon, the Blood Evil Alliance will reappear. Not only that, Tyrian Brain will also make a comeback. Yaking Han narrowed his eyes and said meaningfully. Alliance Brain, you mean Zero? Yan Ke exclaimed. But Zero is not. He remembered that Yaking Han had a fight with Ling and tied him to the Blood Demon League and tortured him for 3 days and 3 nights. If Zero appears, I'm afraid he will have the intention to kill Yaking Han. Speaking of this, Yaking Han also had a headache, and he didn't know Feng Ling's attitude now. He told her that he was a godslayer, and she seemed to accept it quickly, and showed little else. Yaking Han rubbed his eyebrows, thinking that he still had to find a time to explore the girl's thoughts. But now, Zero will cooperate with us. That girl is a real money addict. As long as you give her enough money, even if she scolds you in her heart, she will smile back at you. I don't know who I followed. Yaking Han couldn't help laughing when he thought of Feng Ling's money-obsessed look. Yan Ke and others looked at each other. Yaking Han was in such a bad state. Why did he look like he had drunk fake wine? But you said Zero will cooperate with us. Real or fake? The 3 people looked unbelievable. Ling and they had a grudge against each other. Would they choose to cooperate with them? Why don't you believe it? I will take care of Zero's matter. I have already contacted her. You just need to continue to keep an eye on the movements of the alien species and report to me at any time. You do not need to intervene in other matters, especially Zero's matter. Understood. We understand. Yan Ke nodded. They always obeyed Yaking Han's orders 100%. Because Yaking Han deserves their trust. But now they are all curious about what Zero said to Yaking Han to make Yaking Han trust her so much. Although the Blood Evil Alliance and the Special Alliance are essentially fighting against alien species, the Blood Evil Alliance has the rules of the Blood Evil Alliance. Sometimes, these rules conflict with the rules of the Special Alliance, so people in the Special Alliance generally do not like to fight with the Blood Evil Alliance. Contact with people from the Evil Alliance. Co-President, the alien species have been making more and more noise recently, and the momentum is not good. Should we notify Mr. Zero to come back? Without Mr. Ling here, the Special Alliance lacks a big help. Yes, Commander, let Mr. Zero come back. It's been 3 years, and some things should be let go. What happened back then was not Ling Sama's fault alone. Wasn't she also trying to protect others? Okay, I know, but since Zero has left the Alliance, there is no reason for us to force him to come back. The man on the back of the chair turned around, his black eyes cold and gloomy. This matter can be discussed later. Everyone looked at each other with regret in their eyes. The Joint Commander has a stereotype about Lord Ling. No matter what they say, the Joint Leader is unwilling to let Lord Ling come back. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 132. Chapter 132. Use it as a backup. But although no one said it, they all felt that the alliance without Mr. Zero was weakening day by day. Nowadays, civil wars within the alliance continue, and everyone can no longer get together. Zero, after everyone left, the man stood up and put on a black robe. Under the dim light, his face could not be seen clearly. There were only a pair of frighteningly white hands, like the body of a dead person, cold and without warmth. He slowly raised his hands to expose them to the sun, and the blue blood vessels suddenly appeared. The man sneered, his tone seemed to be disdainful. What about the Alliance brain? Without her, the Alliance would still exist based on heaven and earth. Midbrain. How ridiculous. He is the leader of the entire Alliance. It is simply ridiculous that a mere Alliance leader wants to force him to step down. Feng Ling didn't know what was going on in the Alliance. She was currently in the principal's office. Feng's eyes were red and her face was pale, looking like she had been bullied. Tian Hui stood beside Feng Shuang and glared at Feng Ling, as if she had bullied Feng Shuang. Feng Ling was already used to this. She was lying on the recliner in Wang Haihong's office, crossing her legs and munching on the ice cream that Ye Limo had just brought her. This thing is funny to say. They had just collected the evidence and had not yet prepared to take action. By coincidence, Tian Hui received the news and went straight to the school to tell Feng Shuang that he was going to stand on the street for Feng Shuang. She didn't even have a chance to ask Su Zioxi to remind Tian Hui not to be hot-headed. Some people insist on becoming such saints, and she can't stop them, right? It just so happens that for things like school violence, the parents of the parties involved must come forward. Yun Miao's parents were also called over. Yun Miao was born in poverty, and her parents were both farmers. Over the years, she came to Los Angeles to work for Yun Miao. Now that the child is gone, the two old men have been crying for several days and nights, and they are all out of shape. Feng Ling looked at the two men and women standing in the corner of the principal's office, lowered her head, and didn't know what she was thinking. The moment Wang Haihong stepped into the office, he saw his little ancestor sitting on a recliner with a look of 250. He twitched his mouth, then raised his head and pretended not to see the little ancestor. Ahem, since we are all here, let's talk. Wang Haihong cleared his throat and acted like a principal. Principal Wang, we have always been good students. We have received scholarships every year. We are the face of Lingyang High School. Now that we are slandered by a poor student, this matter cannot be justified, right? Wang Haihong just finished speaking. Tian Hui shouted in a high voice. As if she was afraid that others would not know that her child had been wronged. Wang Haihong frowned slightly and wanted to curse, but because of his image, he just said, I called you here today to solve this matter. Now the police have almost investigated the situation. Regarding Yun Miao, we deeply regret his death. The culprits behind the scenes will also be severely punished. We will not let anyone who deserves punishment be spared. If they are innocent, our school will never be unjust. Feng Shuang stood beside Tian Hui. For some reason, her heart trembled after hearing that the situation had been investigated. But he calmed down quickly. No one knows how this happened. At most, Li Yishan was lost. Li Yishan's value has almost been used up now, and it is useless to have one more of her and one less of her. Use it as a backing, and there will be no loss. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 133. Chapter 133 Jumping off the building. She glanced at Li Yishan, who was standing behind her parents in a panic, and waited for the situation to develop without saying a word. Since we want to solve this matter, let the relevant personnel come over and call us both to do what? How? Is it possible that you think this matter has something to do with both of us? Tian Hui couldn't help but sneer, it's really ridiculous. Feng Ling closed her eyes and looked lazy. Yes, according to the police investigation, the cause of the incident is indeed the upcoming chemistry competition. She slowly opened her eyes with cold eyes. Yun Miao's chemistry score, if nothing else goes wrong, will be the leader in this chemistry competition. It's just a pity that she had an accident at this juncture. The initiator of the accident. Feng Ling moved her eyes to Feng Shuang, filled with disgust. Feng Shuang squeezed her palms tightly and gritted her teeth. Sister, I don't understand what you are looking at me for. As everyone knows, in order to ensure the ranking of Lingyang High School, I invited Yun Miao to review with me. I mean well, and there is no campus violence as you mentioned. Feng Ling, since you have moved out, can you stop trying to commit suicide? Shuang is your biological sister. Can you be nicer to your biological sister? Do you have to watch them both fall into before you give up? Tian Hui wanted to strangle Feng Ling to death. She still couldn't understand why there were such big differences between children born to the same parents. Hell, Feng Ling smiled coldly, I'm not that capable. You should ask her, or the person next to her, what she did. After Feng Ling finished speaking, everyone's eyes fell on Li Yishan. Looking at Li Yishan's pale face, Yun Miao's parents had some suspicions in their minds, and they couldn't control their emotions and pounced on her. What on earth did my Miao do to you to make you do this to her? She is only 18 years old. The good years have just begun. What should we parents do if you are like this? We have raised Miao for 18 years. Now that she is dead and we are in our 70s, who do you want me and my wife to count on for the rest of my life? They have little education, and they only want Yun Miao to go to school in the hope that she can go to university, find a job, and have a family in the future, including children and grandchildren. But now they have lost both their people and money. Yun Miao's parents became more and more excited as they talked. Feng Ling pursed her lips, stepped forward and patted their shoulders to calm them down. The police will definitely solve this matter. She has asked Huoyu to find several marketing accounts and publish them on the internet. Now that it is on the hot search, this matter must be explained to the public. Since Yun Miao committed suicide, the law cannot punish the murderer who caused Yun Miao to commit suicide, so public opinion will punish him. No matter what, night can never remain night forever. Light will always come. Anything, as long as you work hard, you will definitely find a way. And she is going to break this road. According to police investigation, Yun Miao did not voluntarily review with Feng Shuang when Feng Shuang invited Yun Miao to review together. Yun Miao was verbally attacked by a group of more than 10 people. As a result, Yun Miao was psychologically oppressed. On the day Yun Miao jumped off the building, Feng Ling looked at Li Yishan. Li Yishan locked Yun Miao in the toilet all night. Yun Miao jumped off the building after coming out of the toilet. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 134. Is chapter 134 reasonable? What happened next is self-evident. Feng Ling looked at Li Yishan. At this moment, Li Yishan had completely lost her previous prestige. She clearly remembered that the surveillance in the toilet was broken. How did the police investigate? Unfortunately, Li Yishan didn't know that Feng Ling was an outstanding hacker, and restoring a small surveillance was not a problem at all. It's just that Feng Ling didn't expect that Feng Shuang had harmed her, and now he had killed another girl. Even caused a series of butterfly effects. Thinking of Ai Chi, Feng Ling's eyes darkened. Principal, although the law cannot punish you, Li Yishan, Feng Shuang, and even everyone in the class have inescapable responsibility for this matter. I understand, I will definitely rectify this matter. Wang's Haihong also turned cold. He looked at Zhou Ji standing aside and said, Teacher Zhou, I hope that the students in Class 1 can develop all round morally, intellectually, physically, artistically, and physically. Lingyang High School cannot teach scum. Principal. How can you believe Feng Ling's words? Anyway, I don't think this matter can be blamed on the rest of our class. Joji thought she was righteous and said, even if Li Yishan did something wrong this time and shouldn't have locked Yun Miao Miao in the toilet, but it's not necessarily because of Li Yishan that Yun Miao Miao jumped off the building, right? Maybe it's because they have been under too much pressure from exams recently. As you know, they are all in their senior year of high school. Joji Fengling called her name lightly, her head lowered, looking at her phone very seriously, not knowing what she was looking at. As a teacher, no matter what happens, the first thing you should reflect on is yourself, instead of thinking of throwing the responsibility to the victim. What do you think? Judging from Yun Mia Miao's past results, her performance during this period was very stable, and her academic performance was not a problem. There was no such thing as what Joji said was that she was under a lot of exam pressure. Not to mention. Fengling said coldly, Joji, Yun Miao Miao asked you for help. This is what Xia Nian told her. At that time, when Yun Miao Miao was attacked, she thought about fighting back, and she told Joji. But you only verbally taught those murderers a lesson. Did you know that in the days that followed, Yun Miao Miao was constantly subjected to school violence, and even became more serious? Joji, you are not worthy to be her class teacher. A student, teacher, or parent who is struggling in pain is one of the few life-saving links they have. Yun Miao Miao's parents are farmers and do not have that ability, so for Yun Miao Miao, Joji is the only way she can go, but Joji has completely blocked this road. Joji, she is desperate. But Joji wants to say something else. But Fengling took out another video. It was Den Yu, the sports committee member of the first class. In the video, Den Yu dragged Yun Miao Miao for a long time until she broke her knee and was unable to walk. Everyone clearly saw what Den Yu said in Yun Miao Miao's ears, which made Yun Miao Miao look pale. Helplessness, sadness, loneliness, and all the low emotions filled the entire principal's office. Yun Miao Miao's parents were sobbing on the side. After the video was played, Fengling turned it off and then raised her head lightly. How did you handle this matter? Den Yu told me it was. He was not careful, Fengling sneered. After a student clearly tells you that she has been subjected to campus violence, your first reaction when encountering such a thing is to believe the perpetrator. Joji, is it reasonable? End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 135. Chapter 135 Pathetic, ridiculous, and pitiful. No matter whether Yun Miao Miao pleases the teacher or not, this should not be an excuse for Joji's dereliction of duty. This tragedy might not have happened if Joji had been more vigilant. Joji's face was pale and she felt like she was about to collapse, but Fengling didn't have any sympathy in her heart. Because of sympathy, Yun Miao Miao's life cannot be exchanged, nor can Aichi's former self be restored. Then this has nothing to do with our family. Shuang. Tian Hui listened to the whole process and didn't feel that Feng Shuang had done anything wrong. Shuang just kindly invited Yun Miao Miao to study together. She can't blame Shuang for not wanting to go. Tian Hui muttered softly. Although it is indeed a pity that this person is dead, it is not her family's Shuang's fault. Although people's hearts are sinister, her family's Shuang has no such intention at all. How can her family's Shuang control what others say or do? Keep it. Auntie, don't say that. It's all me. If I hadn't invited Miao Miao wouldn't be like this, Feng Shuang said with red eyes. Weakly walked to Yun Miao Miao's parents and bowed. Uncle and aunt, I'm sorry, I didn't expect that this situation would happen today, and I didn't expect that Miao would care so much about what everyone said. I have always regarded Miao as a good friend, but I really don't mean that. Which row and column is Yun Miao sitting in? What clothes was she wearing on the day of the accident, and who was at the same table? Fengling lowered her head and stared at the screen of her mobile phone, tapping continuously, and suddenly asked a question. Caught Feng Shuang off guard. How does she know where Yun Miao is sitting? She is busy studying and singing every day, and she has no time to care about what clothes Yun Miao Miao is wearing and who her classmates are at the table. Seeing that Feng Shuang couldn't answer, Feng Ling laughed coldly, "You don't even know where a good friend sits. Feng Shuang, your threshold for a good friend is really low." The girl stood up, walked up to Feng Shuang, and looked at her condescendingly. "I'm afraid that the entire school, and even the entire society, as long as they are useful to you, will be your good friends." You gave Yun Miao Miao the title of a good friend. Did she agree? Feng Ling was already taller than Feng Shuang, and coupled with Feng Ling's aura at this moment, Feng Shuang felt even more embarrassed. She bit her lip in frustration and said with red eyes, "Feng Ling, you can't misunderstand me like this." "Oh, so all the criticisms against you are misunderstandings," Feng Ling sneered, unwilling to talk nonsense to Feng Shuang. "Feng Tian, can you see it? This is the daughter you are trying to protect at all costs. Even if you kill someone else, you will never admit your mistakes. It's so pathetic, ridiculous, and pitiful." Feng Ling closed her eyes and turned to Wang's Haihong. "Principal Wang, since this matter has spread on the internet, please be sure to give a good explanation to Yun Miao Miao's parents and the whole society." "Feng Ling, what are you talking about, you girl? Why does this matter involve the whole society?" Listening to Feng Ling's tone, Tian Hui felt that Feng Ling was asking Wang's Haihong to execute Feng Shuang. How could she agree? She even pointed at Feng Shuang to give her the honor to shine on. "Principal Wang, this matter has nothing to do with our family. You can't convict us just because of someone's few words. We both have to go to college." "Principal, I know that this incident is more or less my fault. It's just that there will be a chemistry competition soon, and soon there will be provincial and municipal unified examinations, and even national competitions. If it's at this time, I'm afraid it won't be good for the school's reputation." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 136. Chapter 136 Dropout Process. Feng Shuang lowered her eyebrows, but she was actually threatening Wang's Haihong. She was confident enough to believe that Wang's Haihong would choose her between a good student who could bring honor to the school and a dead person. After all, this society is inherently unprofitable, right? However, Feng Shuang made the wrong bet this time. Feng Shuang, according to the video, you were also present when they verbally abused Yun Miao Miao. Wang's Haihong looked serious. Feng Shuang nodded, "Not bad, but why didn't you choose to stop it when you were present, but just stood aside and watched with cold eyes?" This matter was Feng Shuang's fault. If she had not had this intention, if she was really as kind as Tian Hui said, I am afraid that the current result would not have occurred. Principal, I don't understand. You also know that I am not them. It is impossible for me to control their thoughts and make them my puppets. I can't do it. Feng Shuang acted in a difficult way. It seemed that Wang's Haihong and the others were trying to. It's the same as embarrassing her. Tian Hui nodded in agreement. Yes, Shuang is right. She has no control over those people. Anyway, I won't allow you to slander us, Shuang, otherwise our Su family will never be done with you. Although the Su family is not a big family, it is still famous. If Wang's Haihong had any sense, he should not refuse her request. Tian Hui held her head high, her face full of the arrogant attitude of a wealthy family. However, she never thought that Wang's Haihong didn't care about the Su family at all. In front of the little ancestor, there was no need to be afraid of the Su family. Wang's Haihong, who had gone through all the trouble to get his young ancestor into Lingyang High School, finally had the opportunity to taste what it felt like to have his back against a big tree to enjoy the shade. "Madam, I'm sorry. Since I took over Lingyang High School, I, Wang's Haihong, have never known aristocratic families. All students in Lingyang High School, regardless of whether they are rich or poor, are treated equally. This has also been the consistent purpose of Lingyang High School since its establishment. If Ms. Tian does not agree, then you can only ask Feng Shuang to transfer to another school with a flick of your finger. At my place, if you make a mistake, you will be dealt with according to the school rules and disciplines. After Wang's Haihong said these words, he secretly glanced at the little ancestor and found that the little ancestor seemed to be in a good mood and felt more confident. I have understood the matter clearly, Teacher Zhou. I hope you can rectify the atmosphere of Class 1. If you blindly pursue results and ignore moral cultivation, then you can also take off the title of special teacher. Principal, Zhou was shocked. She knew very well how difficult it was to get the title of special teacher. If she were to be stripped of this title because of this incident, I'm afraid she would become a joke to the entire school. Principal, give me another chance. At this moment, Zhou was no longer as proud as before and looked embarrassed. Wang's Haihong said coldly, "Give you a chance? Who gives a dead student a chance?" No longer looking at Zhou, Wang's Haihong turned to Li Yishan, "As for you, you will be dismissed from school." Principal, no, Principal, I was wrong, I know I was wrong, don't drop me from school, please Principal. Principal Shan knows she made a mistake, please give her another chance, okay? The Li family has recently faced an economic crisis. If Li Yishan is kicked out of school again, I'm afraid, she won't be able to find a school to study for a while. To be more serious, she may not be able to take the college entrance examination this year. Not only that, those who see the Li family's jokes will also focus on Li Yishan. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 137. Chapter 137 Enjoying tea casually. But this time, Wang's Haihong had no intention of being soft-hearted. He folded his hands behind his back and said with a cold expression, "If you can make Yun Miao wake up, I can naturally let you stay in school for probation." How is this possible? The doctor has confirmed that Yun Miao is already dead and cannot die anymore. Her body has become hardened. Is it possible to be resurrected from the dead? How do they have that ability? Father Li turned left and right at the door, and finally stopped in front of Li Yishan and slapped her hard. Li Yishan was unprepared and fell directly to the ground. Her face was burning with pain. There was blood at the corner of her mouth, but it was covered by the pain on her face. "Dad," she looked at Father Li in disbelief. Since she was a child, her father has never been so cruel to her. Even if you hit her, it would be loud and loud, let alone hitting her in front of so many people. Li Yishan's tears fell instantly, and she felt inexplicably aggrieved. It was obviously Yun Miao who couldn't bear it mentally, and she didn't want her to die. She was the one who wanted to jump off the building. Why is everyone blaming her now? She obviously didn't do anything. Li Yishan was so angry that she directly said what she was thinking. She wanted to jump off the building on her own, not me who forced her to jump off the building. Who can blame her for her poor mental health? I just hope she can be more sensible and see clearly where she should be and where she shouldn't be. I didn't let her die. Rebellious girl, Father Li didn't expect that Li Yishan would still say this at this time. She was simply unrepentant. Originally, maybe they could save a little bit, but now. It's simply stupid. Feng Shuang frowned and looked at Li Yishan with a slightly gloomy look. She originally thought that although Li Yishan was not smart, she at least knew what to say and what not to say, but now it seemed that she had no idea what to say and what not to say in this situation. She moved closer to Li Yishan, reached out and patted her shoulder to comfort her. Shan, calm down first. Uncles, aunts, principal, and teacher Zhou, This incident all happened because of me. Shan Shan may have done this in anger because she saw that Miao Miao was unwilling to review with me at first and felt that she had no sense of collective honor. For this impulsive move. It's also my fault that I didn't understand Shinshan's thoughts in time, which resulted in this irreversible situation. I feel deeply guilty. Since everything happened because of me, I am willing to accept any punishment. I hope that my uncle, aunt, and Miao Miao's spirit in heaven can forgive me. Feng Shuang said it sincerely. She thought that she should be punished and given a big warning no matter what. Who knew that there was a little ancestor here who didn't take the ordinary path? Forgive? If everything in this world could be solved with a word of sorry, then the law would not exist. Feng Ling took the seemingly brand new teacup on the table and made herself a cup of tea. Wang's Haihong is so distressed. He asked someone to transport this tea set all the way to him. Before he could bear to use it, his little ancestor took it to drink tea. The point is, this cha is not very good. It feels quite casual. Tasting tea is originally a sacred thing, but for my little ancestor, it always feels as casual as drinking boiled water. Wang's Haihong sighed and thought silently in his heart, this is our little ancestor, we are our little ancestor, we can't be angry, we can't be angry. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 138. Chapter 138. The devil is in the world. Sister, do you have to do this? Feng Shuang's little face was bloodless. She seemed to be stimulated by Feng Ling's cold and ruthless words, and she was crumbling beside Tian Hui. I have no enmity with you. We are from the same roots. Why don't you let me go? Feng Shuang's forbearing look made many people present feel distressed. Yun Miao's parents didn't know how to deal with it for a moment. After all, their children were children too, and Feng Shuang did not say anything harsh to their Miao. Seeing that the situation was about to develop in the direction Feng Shuang expected, Feng Ling suddenly took out a mobile phone and said, Feng Shuang, aren't you curious about this? Feng Shuang felt a little uneasy when she saw the black recording pen, but she calmed down thinking that Yun Miao probably didn't have that intention. I'm sorry, I don't recognize what you're holding. You really don't know me. Feng Ling turned the recorder in her hand meaningfully, because this is Yun Miao's last counterattack. According to their investigation, Yun Miao often brings a voice recorder with her because she has suffered from campus violence for a long time, and the recorder records many of what Yun Miao said to herself. That day, I don't know whether Yun Miao had a good idea to open the recorder or accidentally opened it in her school bag. However, fortunately, the recorder recorded everything Yun Miao suffered during her lifetime. The button was pressed, and a familiar voice came out. Yun Miao, you should know what to do in the chemistry competition. A threatening sentence came out from the recorder, including the incident of Feng Shuang breaking Yun Miao's glasses, including the personal attack on Yun Miao by some people in Class 1, which was clearly visible. Feng Shuang took 2 steps back unconsciously. She felt the shock and contempt of the people around her, and the resentment towards Feng Ling in her heart reached its peak for the first time. Ever since Feng Ling came out of prison, he has always been against her. She didn't understand, since Feng Ling's reputation was already so bad, why he had to fight against her and didn't want the Feng family to get better. Feng Shuang squeezed her palms tightly, her nails digging into her flesh, but the pain it caused was far less severe than the shame Feng Ling brought her. She could even feel Tian Hui's alienation from her, Zhou disappointment in her, and even the deep hostility of Yun Miao's parents towards her, and all of this was brought to her by Feng Ling. If there is no Feng Ling, if there is no Feng Ling. Feng Shuang closed her eyes bitterly, this sentence alone can't explain anything. I'm just reminding her to take the exam well and not to embarrass the class. I have to say that Feng Shuang's mental endurance is indeed much better than ordinary people. However, Feng Ling can understand it. After all, he is a devil who can kill his parents without changing his expression, isn't he? As long as the devil is in the world, there will be no peace in the world. So, she can only make this ghost live in peace in the world. Feng Ling admitted that sometimes she was quite bad, especially when the frog that had been boiled in warm water was struggling wildly. She preferred to see it with its belly stretched out. Very nice. Use a threatening tone to remind people to take the exam well. Feng Shuang, are you lying to people or ghosts? Other people are stupid, but she, Wang's Haihong, and Yun Miao's parents are not stupid. Sure enough, after hearing Feng Shuang's feeble defense, Yun Miao's parents exploded. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 139. Chapter 139. Lend her hand. What did our Meow do wrong? You, a little girl, are so cruel. Don't think you have anything to do with Meow's death. Just wait for us. If this matter is not resolved for one day, we will not let you go. Kill for life, kill for life. Shuang you. A strange emotion arose in Tian Hui's heart. She looked at the familiar face in front of her, but it seemed as if she had never understood it before. Shuang, is it really as bad as they say? But Feng Shuang's explanation just now seems to make sense. Which one should she believe? For a moment, Tian Hui was a little confused. Auntie, believe me, I really didn't mean that. Feng Shuang, instead of explaining here, let's think about how to deal with the court session in a week. Feng Ling put her hands in her pockets, her vision covered by a trace of tears, and she felt sleepy. She waved her hand towards Wang's Haihong. If you continue, I will not participate. But Feng Ling paused. Don't expect to escape sanctions. Hundreds of millions of netizens around the world are watching. With a click, Feng Ling walked up to Feng Shuang's side and moved her lips. Murderer. You. Feng Shuang was so excited that she almost told Feng Ling what happened back then without reservation, but she held back. But what made her very uneasy was that what Feng Ling said about the court session in a week's time, what she said at that time, was actually true. Does she really have any evidence in her hand? No, it's impossible, absolutely impossible. Miss Feng, it's been 3 years. At the coffee shop, Wen Xiao looked at the girl in front of him, feeling full of emotion in his heart. 3 years, he has been chasing the truth for 3 years, and the stubborn girl in front of him is finally willing to tell the truth. It's time to settle it. Feng Ling lowered her head and stirred the cappuccino in front of her, with a complicated look on her face. She was not willing to mention what happened back then, but she also knew that some things had to be understood. The cup in his hand was squeezed tightly. Wen Xiao noticed Feng Ling's movements and realized that the girl in front of him was not as careless about this matter as she showed. He always thought that the girl back then was so calm that she seemed to have no heart. But now it seems that this is not the case. Miss Feng, what was the truth about what happened 3 years ago? Communications in Luo City 3 years ago were not as developed as they are now. There was not a large number of surveillance cameras around the Feng family, so it was difficult for them to find surveillance cameras that could prove what actually happened in the Feng family. So we can only judge Feng Ling's guilt based on the victim's one-sided words. He has been looking for clues in the place where the Feng family had an accident for the past 3 years, but in the end he didn't find anything particularly useful. The only thing I learned is that Feng Ling's parents seemed to like Feng Shuang more than Feng Ling. Feng Ling, on the other hand, was not at Feng's house for a long time. No one knows where he went. But according to what he learned, Feng Ling's character was not the kind that would kill his biological parents in front of others. So he always firmly believed that Feng Ling did not kill anyone. At this moment, Feng Ling also confirmed this to him, I did not kill anyone. It was Feng Shuang who killed Feng Tian and his wife. Feng Shuang lent me my hand. No matter what, she also has a responsibility. If it were normal times, she could completely avoid Feng Shuang, but that day, she was injured. It was difficult to even stand, let alone avoid Feng Shuang's already planned moves. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 140. Chapter 140, Not a family, don't enter the same family. Then why didn't you say it then? In 3 years, I paid off what I owed them, and there was no loss. For her, being in prison is much easier than being in the Feng family. What's more, the alliance was in chaos at that time, and her disappearance would expose some problems that had not been exposed. Feng Ling took a breath and leaned against the wall lazily, playing a game in her hands. It was as if the previous heaviness had never existed at all. Wen Xiao quite admired this girl, and her emotions came and went quickly. Had it not been for the threat of a certain man, he would not have sat here and had a long talk with her like a spiritual mentor. This was not his style as a barrister. But thinking about it, Wen Xiao, a lawyer who had long been reduced to a driver, suddenly didn't feel uncomfortable anymore. 3 years are very precious to a student, My grades aren't good anyway, right? Feng Ling's eyes were filled with amusement. I go in, and Feng and I both go in, we have to choose one. But it's a pity that they chose me in the end. So, their precious daughter is destined to suffer even more pain. Because, Zero has always been unscrupulous. Feng Ling stirred the coffee in her hand, and then took a sip. Just like this coffee, if it didn't add sugar, it would only be bitter. Although Feng Shuang was now a bowl of coffee with sugar, unfortunately, when I meet her, this sugar can only evaporate. Feng Ling smiled coldly, Lawyer Wen wants to know what happened that year, doesn't he? I can tell you. At that time, after Feng Shuang cut the cake, he thrust the knife into Feng Tian and his wife, then backed away from me and let me fall on them, covered with their blood. Then she put the prepared knife into my hand. So the knife has my fingerprints on it. And Feng Shuang, because she wore gloves when cutting the cake, her fingerprints were not on the knife. So no matter how you check, you can't find it out. This is why Feng Ling said that she acted as a knife for Feng Shuang that time. The only time she was broken was in Feng Shuang's hands. But, it's only this once. In the future, it is impossible to be free again. Wen Xiao, I need you to do me a favor, Feng Ling said, ignoring Wen Xiao's shock. She took out several phone numbers and said, these are the largest media outlets in Los Angeles. On the day of the trial, I need these media outlets to help me get the news out. I believe that the media should be very interested in my information. After all, if an incident that caused a sensation 3 years ago is mentioned again 3 years later, it should still arouse hatred. Feng Ling is still very confident in making people hate her. After all, she was hated by so many people when she was a nanny. Should this be regarded as for her? Wen Xiao looked at Feng Ling's 250-year-old face and felt that what the other person did was not like a victim who had suffered such a great injustice. He always felt as if this case was in Feng Ling's hands from beginning to end. Whether she goes to jail or comes out, or even the upcoming court session, it seems that she is in control, and she can achieve that effect as long as she wants. If you think so, then Feng Ling is too terrible. Wen Xiao inexplicably thought of a man who was equally scary. Well, he was not part of the same family and would not enter the same house. End of this chapter.